Hey everybody, welcome to Nerd Overload, the pop and geek culture show where Doctor Strange will not be appearing in this episode.
Ah, darn. I was really hoping he'd show up.
Yeah, we might talk about him, but he's not going to be here.
He's not going to be here?
Yeah.
Okay, he's here in spirit, or
Yeah.
I guess astral projection.
He could be. You
He
never
could
know.
be. That's very true. I'm Sam.
I'm Cody, and I'm the Sorcerer Supreme now.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay. I have some questions for you after the show then. All right. We have a great show for you all. Thank you for tuning in. This is normally the part where I would say, let's do our check 'em outs, but because it's just the two of us, we have a very special segment, and we call that Where in the World is Josh Harrison?
Where in the world is
Josh Harrison? I love that theme song. I love it.
Yep, it was worth it the time you spent in acapella to get that.
Well, thank you. I had to personally contact each member of Rockapella individually.
Yeah. Did I just say acapella?
You said acapella.
I meant rockapella.
Okay, fair enough. Sure, but either way, I had to contact them all. Acapella, Rockapella, whoever, all of them. They're too busy filming their Christmas Folgers coffee commercials from the 90s. Anyway,
I wonder if they're still together.
Who knows? They're probably like music producers or something now, Or maybe there's still one Rockapella who's held on to the name and is like cycling in other acapella singers.
Like that one guy from the Beach Boys who sucks. Mike Love.
Yeah, there we go. Or you know what? I bet you, in all honesty, Pentatonics kind of ate Rockapella's lunch a little bit.
True.
I bet you that's kind of, yeah.
They just exist and are bitter about Pentatonics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of their songs are about boo, bop, Pentatonic sucks, boo. I don't know. I am not an acapella singer, so.
Where in the world is Pentatonics? Because we want to beat them up.
Perfect. All right. So in past iterations of Where in the World is Josh Harrison, he has visited the Metroid planet of Zebes, ran into Samus there, and he's been to Skyrim. Or what's the country?
Tamriel. It took me a second.
Yeah, Tamriel in the Skyrim. So he actually sent me a letter. It came by Pony Express, oddly enough. But he told me that he's in this really cool place where, it has lush forests, it has lakes, it has mountains, it has deserts, and oddly enough, they are all within walking distance.
So he's in Hyrule.
He's absolutely in Hyrule.
I got it in one.
I told you before the show this was a gimme. Oh, well.
It is weird that all the stuff is within walking distance.
Oh, yeah. Usually within less than a day. Especially if you're backwards walking, because it's a little bit quicker.
If you roll everywhere.
Yeah. All right, here, if you hit a wall with your sword just right, you clip through reality and show up at Ganon's castle as a child? I don't know.
I guess Breath of the Wild Hyrule is a little less walking.
That's a little. It takes you a couple days in-game days.
You got to have a horse in that one.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get I guess you get a horse in 64 too, but do you really need that?
Not really. It's like they gatekeep one area that you need a Pono for, but otherwise, yeah, you don't really need it. But yes, that was Where in the World is Josh Harrison?
Where in the world is
Josh Harrison?
I'm impressed that you conveyed that one over without mentioning like a rupee
or a castle or Lon Lon Ranch
or a magical instrument.
Yeah, I put some thought into this one. I mean, it was easy, but I put some thought into it.
But it was you didn't make it super obvious.
Yeah. And specifically, I picked Ocarina of Time because when I think of there's a million great Zelda games, and for a while when I think of Zelda, I think of Breath of the Wild because it was amazing.
The one,
but it has reverted back to Ocarina of Time in my brain when I think of Zelda.
I think every age group has their
Yes.
This is the Zelda, and that's the one for. Even though it's not my favorite Zelda, it was the one I thought of too. It's the one.
It's the
one for our age group.
It's very interesting because if you go a couple years older than our age group, like the next step up, it's absolutely Link to the Past.
Yeah.
And if you go another one or two after, it's Twilight Princess. Not a lot of people think about Wind Waker, oddly enough.
No, well, it's just a lot of water. It's the most different. Like,
it really is. Yeah. All right. So anyway, let's get into our check 'em outs.
Check it out!
Okay, so I will jump into it because I have one check 'em, but it's a big check 'em. This year, friend of the show Jordan and a couple other friends and I, we all went to Dude-a-Thon down at Studio 35. For folks who don't know what Dude-a-Thon is, it is a yearly event where they do a beer tasting and also play The Big Lebowski.
Dude-a-thon, not Doo-doo-thon.
Not Doo-doo-thon. Did I say Doo-doo-thon?
No, you didn't.
Okay, good. All right.
But in case the listener thought you said Doo-doo-thon.
Dude-a-thon. But
I just wanted to say Doo-doo-thon.
Thank you. Thanks. That's good. That's good. Way to work that in there. I like it. But no, it was great. This will be my third or maybe fourth time going down to Dude-a-thon. Jordan we have gone to a couple of other beer tastings for other movies. It's something they do monthly. They will pick either a newly released film or if they can license one out, an older film. And then the two friends that we were with had never done any of that before. And it was a blast. The place was sold out. It was amazing. We all got our commemorative pint glass for it, as well as this year the giveaway was a Viking helmet. If you're familiar with the movie, there is a very prominent scene, a dream sequence, where some characters wear Viking helmets. It's pretty awesome. Have you ever seen
Yeah,
The
I've
Big
seen
Lebowski?
The Big Lebowski.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
it's been a long time, but I watched it in college.
Yeah, see, that's a good time to watch it.
Yeah.
It's one of those that I can watch it once a year. Usually I do Yeah, I can watch it at least, once a year. And every time I watch it, I pick up a little bit more. For folks who don't know, it's the Big Lebowski is essentially a detective noir movie with a detective who doesn't want to be doing it and would rather just be bowling.
And is not really a detective.
And not really a detective. He's just some schlub
who got falling into...
He kind of got thrown into it.
He's a detective by accident.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it all involves... it starts with people coming after another Jeff Lebowski, who... It's a whole convoluted mess. But it's a lot of fun. It's not out and out, like, hilarious, laugh out loud funny, but there's a lot of really humorous points to it that you kind of go in your brain oh yeah, that was great, that was really funny, that was clever. The one thing that I caught this time, so John Turturro he's almost set up like a villain for the movie, but he's just a guy, the Jesus, the guy, the bowling guy. He's set up like a villain. He has one scene.
That's true.
And that's it.
He's just there. He's a flavor character.
But when he's bowling, when he's introduced, they're playing a not mariachi, but like
Spanish
guitar version of Hotel California. And later in the movie, after Lebowski gets kicked out of a Hollywood party and all this stuff, he's being taken home by taxi, and Hotel California, the regular version, is playing on the radio, and he mentions, can you please I've had a rough night, can you just turn the radio off? I hate the Eagles. But if you think back to it, the Eagles is playing during the Jesus introduction scene, so you're meant to, that's kind of a subtle, you're meant to know that this guy sucks. And I think that's really interesting. I think it's really cool. But
Coen Brothers.
Yes, Coen Brothers. And before they play the movie, while they're doing the beer tasting and stuff, they always play little clips, like funny clips of stuff, basically to get the crowd warmed up and laughing. And
like Bad Movie Night.
Yeah, exactly. But this year, they played a bunch. Well, they always played Guy on a Buffalo. Have I ever played Guy on a Buffalo for you? Yeah.
Yes. It's great.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance, go online. The video's like 13 or 14 years old at this point, but it is a band, the Possum Posse, who took clips from this old...
Great band name.
Oh, it's a great band name. Took clips from this really awful movie about a cowboy who rides a buffalo. I think the movie's called The Buffalo Rider. and they do this humorous song to it.
Soldier.
Not the Buffalo Soldier. That's a little different. But so that's really funny. They played some clips of like news anchors screwing up, which is all I love. I love it when people who are professional totally beef it. I think that's the funniest, one of the biggest peaks of comedy.
There's one I saw recently where the newscaster just mispronounces the name of somebody that just got like murdered or something, and they pronounce it in like the worst way you could possibly imagine.
Oh yeah, no, that stuff is great. No, this one was during a blizzard, I guess, and they were cutting to a man on the street standing out in the blizzard in the snow, very early morning for like the early morning news, and the guy immediately mentions, "So I'm the weekend sportscaster. All sports have been canceled, so as what I take as some kind of prank, have decided that I need to be out here doing the weather. I didn't even know there was a 3:30 in the morning until they told me to come in." And they keep cutting to clips of like his interstitials, and he's getting more and more pissed off. At one point he goes, "Well, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is I can still feel my cheeks. The bad news is I'm not sure if I want that or not." But it's hilarious. Really, really funny, good stuff. And last thing about it, one of the other clips. So John Goodman was given a star on the Walk of Fame years ago. And Jeff Bridges gave one of the speeches during it. So they played the video of it. Jeff Bridges came up, nice suit, everything. You know, he still had the long hair and the beard and stuff. And he came up with this leather satchel. He hands John Goodman the leather satchel, opens it up, takes his jacket off, and puts on the Lebowski robe. And he starts giving this speech about John Goodman. And a few lines in, you realize it's the eulogy that John Goodman gives for Steve Buscemi's character, with just a couple of names and a couple of things swapped out. But it's the exact same speech that he had memorized. It was hilarious. And all this stuff you can find online on YouTube. Dude-a-Thon is amazing. They had a costume contest. Some gal dressed as John Goodman's character Walter won it. It was pretty great. A couple got up there, and it was Lebowski and Julianne Moore as Maude came up together. It was great. Oh, I forgot to mention. So they do raffles after they do 10 2-ounce pours of the beer tasting part of it, which isn't, take it or leave it. I'm good. I just wanted to see the movie, honestly. But they do a bunch of raffles every time. And every one of these beer tastings, they raffle off a couple boxes of the Princess Bride Scrabble. And I'll tell you why. For the longest time, every Valentine's Day, they would play the Princess Bride as a beer tasting, as a Valentine's Day kind of thing. And a number of years ago, they caught wind of a online game store that was going out of business. And they had a bunch of pallets of the Princess Bride Scrabble. And they're like, this is great. We're going to have prizes forever because we're going to play this movie forever. And then Disney bought 20th Century Fox, and they can't license the movie to play anymore. So they're just stuck with boxes and boxes and boxes of Princess Bride Scrabble that they try to unload onto people every beer tasting and every chance they get. They're just stuck with them. It's hilarious. I mean, I feel bad for them because that's money spent. Yeah. But it's hilarious. So, yeah. So that's my check 'em out. That's what I've been doing. What have you been doing, Cody?
Let's see. I forgot until you started talking about Lebowski that I watched a Coen brother movie.
Oh,
not
just one of them.
Just one of them.
Okay. All right.
I watched Drive Away Dolls a couple days ago. It was really good. Mm-hmm. Gay as the day is long.
Oh,
I did not know it was. It's a like lesbian road mystery.
Okay,
B style movie. It's
nice. Who stars in it?
Margaret Qualley.
Oh, I like her. I like her a lot.
She's really great. And this is kind of like a sleazy Texas lesbian.
Okay,
she's
all right.
Very funny.
Yeah,
and It's this couple. Well, these two friends who are both lesbians who. One has a huge breakup and the other just wants to get out of town. Mm-hmm. So they get a drive away, which is where somebody pays you to deliver a car somewhere else.
Oh,
so
okay.
you can drive it there and just leave it.
And then leave it
not
and then
your car
come back
anymore.
Or whatever. Yeah.
A mysterious suitcase gets loaded into their drive away by some like shady
guys.
Yeah. And they have to deal with that while also driving to Tallahassee, Florida.
Interesting. No, that sounds like a lot of fun.
It is.
Yeah.
It was very funny. I can't really get into it without, I don't know, not being family friendly.
Sure.
And also spoiling it.
Right, because if it's a pseudo mystery kind of thing as well, yeah, you don't want to spoil it.
Because you don't even know what's in the suitcase till like the last half of the movie.
Really?
And then when they do reveal what it is, it's very funny and weird.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's on Prime, I think.
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah.
So you can stream it without having to shell out $20 or whatever ridiculous price it costs to rent a movie.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Have you ever looked at that, like on Amazon and stuff, how much it costs to rent a movie now?
I'm fully aware. I once rented maybe the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Phobe, the Xenophobic Experiments, this old made-for-TV Canadian sci-fi movie that sucks. And, I rented it thinking, hey, this is going to be a good, bad movie, and I can sit and laugh at it. And it's so far beyond that. It's just a bunch of weird Canadians sitting in a room talking about how maybe one of them's an alien.
The Thing, but nobody's really all that troubled about it.
Yeah. It's like the movie Things, if nothing happened. And Things, right? Not Things. Yeah, Things. They did it on Joe Bob. Super, super low budget, bunch of hillbillies in a house.
I don't know if I watched that one.
Okay, yeah. Well, that one's bad in the best way possible. But this one was just rotten. But anyway, it cost me way more than I should have paid to rent that one.
The other thing about Drive Away Dolls is that they clearly wanted it to be titled something else.
Oh, gotcha.
So far as the end titles are different than the title of the movie, and you can guess.
Yeah,
you can guess what it probably was.
Yeah.
But it's just funny because their production company or the distributor or whoever just probably went, absolutely not. You can't call that movie that. We cannot sell a movie that's called that.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's I can only imagine.
But yeah, it's a super great movie. Good watch.
Yeah.
Cool. In the Coen brothers tone, but there's not both of them. It's just one.
I like a lot of their stuff.
Yeah.
Oh Brother, Where Art Thou was maybe one of my favorite films.
I haven't seen that movie, and Samantha all the time tells me I should see that movie.
You need
that I would
to see
like
that movie.
movie.
It's super great. It's the Odyssey. It's Homer's Odyssey, but in the 1930s, Dust Bowl kinda, and it's hilarious. And George Clooney is actually really, really funny in it. Yeah, it's super awesome.
I've seen a lot of their movies too, but just not that. I've seen Raising Arizona.
Of course,
that
sure.
movie's excellent.
Yeah.
Burn After Reading, that was them.
Mm-hmm.
Buster Scruggs was really good.
Buster Scruggs was good. Yeah.
They make good movies.
They do. Yeah, they do. Did you know that they have a very brief, extremely brief cameo in Sam Raimi's Darkman?
No.
So at the time of Darkman, Sam Raimi, the Coen brothers, and Frances McDormand all lived in a house together out in L.A. And there is a scene where Darkman is going after guys on a highway. And there is a car driving behind the big semi that Darkman's on or what have you. And it's being driven by the Coen brothers. You can barely see it. It's one of those, you got to pause it, the movie just at the right time to see their faces. But yeah, it's them. And there's also a Raising Arizona reference in Spider-Man 1, the Sam Raimi one. So the scene where you can tell I get bored and watch a bunch of behind the scenes stuff at work. There's a scene Well, the upside down kiss in the rain scene in the Spider-Man.
The iconic
scene. Well, in the background, there is an advertisement for like Woody Woodpecker's auto repair or something like that. And it's odd because there are spotlights pointed at it. It is the same woodpecker head tattoo that Nicolas Cage has in Raising Arizona.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's weird that it's like perfectly framed with like spotlights and stuff. Like there's no way that was a coincidence. He did that on purpose.
That Drive-Away Dolls is apparently also part of a trilogy that they're doing.
Really?
Like lesbian exploitation movie trilogy.
So like a B-movie kind of thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like they list like Faster Pussycat as a inspiration.
Okay.
But
I get that. I almost got a Thelma and Louise kind of situation a little bit as well. Kind of, in the broadest terms, I guess.
But there's apparently another one. I can't remember the title of it now, but it also has Margaret Qualley in it.
Oh, cool.
Not as the same character. And then there's a third one that they haven't really said anything about.
Yeah.
But it's cool that it's a trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Man, I do really like Margaret Qualley. I think it's been really interesting watching her progression into bigger and bigger films because I know her as the character in Death Stranding. That's the first time I saw her as an actress.
Yeah.
And, between The Substance and this, and she's just been kind of slowly building her repertoire of films up. And, I think she's great.
I wonder, did she get nominated for Best Supporting for...
You know what? We're going to be talking about the Oscars later on.
We'll talk about that later, because if she didn't, she should.
She absolutely should.
She was very good in The Substance.
Yes, absolutely. You know what? Speaking of which, let's go ahead and jump right on into our news. Okay, and you know what? We were just talking about the Oscars. Let's just go ahead and jump into. They have the Oscar nominations were just released the other day, and I'll be honest, I don't pay as much attention to the Oscars anymore. I think these days, if I'm going to pay attention and get recommendations off of an award show, I'm going to go with the Golden Globes. They seem like they have more fun with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, you have
and the Oscars is so much more stuffy, and
they are, and it seems like a lot of. I don't know how else to say it, but it seems like a lot of the picks that they make for the winners are films that seem like they are smelling their own farts a little bit too much. They seem like they're made specifically to win an award at the Oscars and nothing else.
Elites patting themselves on the back.
La La Land, I'm sure, is a fine movie, but it seemed like it was created in a lab specifically to win a bunch of Oscars, and that's it.
And then it did.
And then it did, of course, yeah.
Best Picture, that's the biggest
big one.
We've got Enora, which looks very, I've not seen it, but it looks very interesting. It's about like that stripper that gets married to a Russian mob guy.
Oh, okay, sure.
I guess. It looks like a lot of people yelling at each other in a way that makes you uncomfortable.
An Oscar film, sure, yeah.
The Brutalist, which I've heard is good, but I don't remember what that's about.
I don't either.
A Complete Unknown, the Timothy Chalamet Bob Dylan movie that honestly looked boring to me.
I don't know if a single person actually went to see that film. I didn't know it was released until the other day when I saw a review of it. I was like, oh, that came out. Oh, it came out like a month and a half ago.
I like Bob Dylan too, and I just don't
see. I'm not a Bob Dylan guy. I don't know.
I like Bob Dylan, but I just have no interest.
The only situation where I'm a fan of Bob Dylan is the Traveling Wilburys.
Hey, they're good though.
Yeah, they're good, but I'm not typically a Bob Dylan guy. But that's fine. I mean,
we got Conclave, which apparently that looked awful to me.
I don't know what that is.
It's the Pope thriller.
Oh, with Russell Crowe as like action priest.
No, that's the
Pope's Exorcist. Okay,
this was like a serious Pope thriller. Cardinals having problems picking cardinals.
Okay, well, It should have had Russell Crowe as action priest.
Yeah, the Pope's Exorcist should have made a cameo.
Or just have him drive around town on that Vespa like he does in the Pope's Exorcist, like for the entire movie. That's fine. I'm good with that.
Dune Part 2, which I'm kind of surprised that.
Ooh, a double Chalamet.
Yeah, we've got double Chalamet here. It's Timmy's ear.
Yep.
Amelia Perez,
which we had to look up.
Yeah, we had to look up.
Apparently that has Zoe Saldana in it.
Yeah, and it's got a ton of nominations, so apparently it's a big deal, even though I'd not even ever heard of it.
I have never heard of it. Yeah.
I'm Still Here. I don't remember what that is.
I'm Still Here. That's another biopic, I believe.
Think so.
Let me, you know what? I'll look it up while you read the rest of the list.
Nickel Boys. I don't know what that is either. This is making me feel like I'm horribly out of touch, even though, like, I pay attention to movies. I like movies. Why do I not know this movie? The Substance, which by my money is the best movie I saw last year.
It's not going to win, but I'm glad it got nominated at least.
And Wicked, which I still have not seen.
I need to see Wicked.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the stage show fine. It was good.
I've never seen it.
I have no reason to not. I mean, I'm not a prude. I'm not going to say, "Oh, it's a musical about the Wizard of Oz." No, I was in the Wizard of Oz when I was in high school. I have no, I'm not going to throw the first stone.
Oz is fun.
Oz is fun.
I was at Walmart the other day and I heard some random dude like a couple aisles over go, "So this Wicked, it's like part movie, part musical."
Yeah,
and
it's
then
a
my
musical.
brain exploded.
Oh my god!
What do you think? Do you think it's just half of a film, and then afterwards they sing the whole thing? Like what? What does that even mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, consider the source, But so I'm Still Here is about the wife of some Brazilian congressman embroiled in some political what have you. I mean, I'm sure it's very interesting.
Sounds like an Oscar-nominated
film. But it sounds
film.
like an Oscar-nominated film. We're not going to read through every single category and stuff like that, but do you have any other big, quick hits? I usually pay attention to special effects. I usually pay attention to Best Actor, Best Actress, and animated are usually the ones I really care about.
Timothée Chalamet got nominated Best Actor for Complete Unknown.
Oh, good for him.
Adrian Brody.
Hey!
He's on that quest, that Brody quest.
He's on that Brody quest. Nice.
For the Oscar for The Brutalist.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Oh, Sebastian Stan got nominated for The Apprentice. I don't know what that movie is.
Oh, no, that I do know what that is. He's playing Donald Trump in a biopic, kinda.
Huh, I didn't know that they were doing that.
They put enough makeup on him. He looks like... Well, he doesn't look like him now because he... But no, he looks like Trump as of like the 80s. Like if you picture in your mind Home Alone 2, that one scene where he shows up for half a second, Sebastian Stan looks just like him. He's got the comb over and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then actress, we've got Demi Moore got nominated for The Substance and should win it.
Yeah, I agree.
Cynthia Erivo for Wicked.
Yeah.
Oh, Kieran Culkin got nominated for supporting role.
Oh, good for him.
A Real Pain, which I think is that movie about two brothers it's just two brothers.
It's just two brothers. I was about to say the same thing.
that go on like a road trip or something. I don't know. I heard about it on NPR.
And watch out, because grannies are coming and they're mad.
Oh yeah, actress Margaret Qualley did not get nominated for actress in a supporting role. I always want to call her Margot Qualley too. I always get overly invested in best animated for some reason, even though it's always whatever Disney movie came out that year.
Well, yeah, sure.
Which Inside Out 2 did get nominated. I mean, I've heard that's good. I haven't watched it because I feel like they covered pretty much everything they needed to cover about Inside Out in the first movie. But there's some great movies on here that do deserve to win. That Memoir of a Snail, I've heard that's very good.
Okay, sure.
And the Wallace and Gromit movie. Wallace and Gromit movies are always good.
They're always pretty great.
But The Wild Robot, I think, is the standout pick. I think that would be the one that would... I haven't seen it, but but I've heard great things, and it seems like the movie that would most deserve it.
I would agree. I want to see it. I know almost nothing about it. And I kind of want it to be that way.
Oh,
I want
see, I was going to tell you what it was about, but
don't
I
tell
won't
me.
now.
No, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
I remember it got a huge bump in cash flow. A lot of people went to see it when Deadpool came out because they were telling the movie people that they were going to see The Wild Robot and then walking into Deadpool because they were children.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Let's see.
It was the movie of choice to sneak into Deadpool and Wolverine.
Hey, why not? Why not? Sure.
Hey, you haven't lived if you haven't snuck into an R-rated movie before you were allowed.
Of course. Yeah, everybody does that.
Even I've done that. And
sure.
And
yeah.
I'm notoriously a good boy. Cinematography has a Nosferatu nod, which I'm glad to see it show up at least somewhere because it was really great. And
I'm
deserves...
glad. Yep.
It also got Best Costume Design, which it should win because there's some great costuming in that movie.
Oh, sure. Yep, I believe it. But yeah, again, Oscars, I don't take them as seriously as I used to, but isn't Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman hosting it this year?
I thought Conan was.
Oh, is it Conan?
I think it's Conan.
Okay, I guess I think there was a petition for the two of them to host it or host one of them.
I think Conan's a great choice, though.
Oh, I think he is too,
very
'cause
funny, and he's got the history of doing this, this kind of work. He should be very good at it.
He should be really good at it, both being reverential, but also can take stabs at the industry.
Yeah.
I guess. Very much like Billy Crystal, the way he used to do it. Sure. So let's talk about some other stuff. You know what? We just mentioned Nosferatu. So Robert Eggers, the director, has decided, well, there's actually a couple films that he's working on. Apparently the Wolfman is is one of them.
He's so hot right now. That Robert Eggers.
That Robert Eggers, yeah. The Eggman.
He's doing a biopic about Dr. Robot.
That's it. Yeah. And the other one, the weird one, is he is signed on to direct a remake of...
Not a remake. A sequel.
Oh, it's a sequel. I thought it was a remake.
I just read a little bit ago that it is a sequel.
It is a sequel to Labyrinth, the Jim Henson,
David Bowie,
yeah,
movie where Jennifer Connelly's in a maze.
Yeah, and David Bowie does Fushigi.
Yeah,
or actually, he doesn't. It's
somebody standing behind him with their arms
through his arms. Yeah, yeah, the ball tricks that he does,
and then he puts his bulge in a puppet's face, and
yeah, he dances a magic dance.
It's a great movie. It's an all-time classic.
It's up there as one of the best cult movies because it did terribly.
Yeah, when
it was in theaters, people hated it. The people liked it less than the Dark Crystal, and the Dark Crystal is gibberish.
Yeah, I have seen The Dark Crystal, but I don't remember anything about it.
There's not much to remember. It's if you strip away all the interesting puppetry, there is almost no plot to it.
I feel like The Dark Crystal is definitely more of an acquired taste.
Oh, yeah.
than
absolutely.
Labyrinth is.
Yeah. It's a shame Josh is in the land of Hyrule currently because he is a huge fan of both of those films, I believe. At least Dark Crystal, I know he's a huge fan of, but
I think Labyrinth is probably one of Jim Henson's best movies.
Yeah, I guess I would agree. I would agree with that.
Definitely best non-Muppet film.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Although he didn't really do a whole lot of non-Muppet things.
I mean, like with the Muppets characters, not.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, I get it.
Not puppetry, but like non Kermit the Frog movie.
Fair. That's fair. Actually, have you ever seen his short film The Timepiece?
No, but I've heard it's cool.
Oh, it's super good. It's like quick cuts to weirdo stuff constantly.
Yeah, it's like an experimental film.
He's done a couple of those. There was that one, and then there was one, I think it was just called Help, where things just kept happening. Although I might be thinking of the same film. But yeah,
Help is with the Beatles.
Well, that's very true.
The Beatles movie.
Can you imagine the Beatles movie but with Muppets?
Oh, that'd be so good.
Which one Beatle? Okay, you have to keep one human Beatle, but the rest of the Beatles are being played by Muppets. Which one Beatle do you pick? Assuming it's in a time when they're all still
Yeah.
around. I would say if it were done today, it would be Paul McCartney, but I think back in the day, you keep John Lennon.
John Lennon was my first thought, my immediate first thought.
Yeah.
But then I started leaning towards George.
George is so dry. Well, I mean, I guess the British, they're all kind of dry.
Yeah.
But George was historically the quiet one.
That's why, like, he would be the least fun as a puppet. Because the other ones would have to be puppets.
Oh, that's true. You know what? That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, okay. I could see it.
I was thinking about, you know that image that's the Beatles, but they're wearing shirts with the first letters of their names and it's spelling out JRPG?
Yes.
What JRPG franchise do you think each Beatle would like the most?
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Well, I think Paul McCartney would like Final Fantasy the best because it is the industry standard.
I was going to
also
say Dragon Quest for the same reason.
I think, well, you know what? I think Final Fantasy, it's a little flashier.
True.
Which would pull Paul into. I think Ringo would start Earthbound, get bored after On It, and quit.
Yeah. See, Earthbound was my John Lennon pick.
Maybe. What's the most boring, driest one? Because that'd be George. Is that like
Shin Megami Tensei.
Shin Megami Tensei? No.
Wizardry. Or
Okay.
Ultima.
Yeah.
Like one of the old, like the dry classic ones.
And I guess, you know what? Maybe Earthbound would be John Lennon, but it would be post-Beatles Yoko Ono because it's experimental and weird.
Maybe Mother 3. But
yeah.
I guess if we're going franchise, then it is Earthbound.
The Earthbound
Mother
series, yeah. I think in that case, Ringo would pick something like... I think he would pick something like a top-down hack and slash, but try to be like, oh no, guys, seriously, it's an RPG. It's got RPG elements to it. It counts. It counts, guys.
I think maybe George is a Chrono Trigger, just because it's a little mind expand. Like there's a lot going on. The time travel is pretty deep, and it deals with like the creation and end of time.
And the middle part of it did bore me to tears. So yes, I believe so. Yeah, it really did. The beginning and end of Chrono Trigger are great.
I've never
for whatever reason I've
never finished Chrono Trigger.
Is it because you get tired and bored of it halfway through? Yeah. Yep, exactly. You know what? I like that. We did not plan that bit at all, but I think we got there.
It was just born from my shower thoughts, more or less.
It's the best time to come up with stupid questions, right? Yeah. All right, so let's do some quick hits here. I'm trying to decide what is actually kind of important.
Maybe the Ringo one is the Soul Blazer quartet series.
Oh, maybe
Soul Blazer,
Secret of Mana or whatever.
No, Blazer, Illusions of Gaia, and Terranigma, the quartet.
Oh,
games.
yeah.
Because they're action RPGs, but also
kind of RPGs. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. Speaking of movies, I mean, I guess we were technically talking about Labyrinth there as well. Movies that are finally getting kind of released that are remakes, reboots, sequels kind of thing. The Toxic Avenger, the remake of The Toxic Avenger, is finally getting a theatrical release. I can't believe it.
It's weird that we even ended up in this situation because you'd think it'd be kind of a gimme. People like that movie. But they ran into that issue, which we talked about before, that they made a movie that was completely unmarketable because it matched the tone of the original. Yeah.
And the original was a low-budget Z-grade movie that was supposed to be played at midnight at sleazy theaters. It's not supposed to be a big budget whatever. But I'm glad. I love Toxic Avenger, and I kind of knew it was going to get a release, if not theatrically, at least digitally at some point, because it's a Peter Dinklage movie.
Yeah.
People love Peter Dinklage.
And like Toxic Avenger isn't a huge franchise, but it's got cultural cachet.
It does. People remember the Toxic Crusaders cartoon.
I mean, they're making a game of it, or are
Yeah,
making a game.
they're
Did
making
that
a
come
game
out?
of it.
It hasn't come out?
I don't think it's come out yet, but they're releasing a 4K restoration of the Toxic Crusaders alongside
Nice.
the beat 'em up game, which is awesome.
I'm surprised they still had the
like
stuff
the
to-
negatives or
yeah,
the
to make
original.
a 4K.
Yeah, I think part of it is I think they were able to bump it up to 720p and then AI up-resed it from there, which, you know what? I don't care for AI stuff, but in the extremely thin case of animation, I'm okay with it because animation AI up-resing actually works and it doesn't look weird
Doesn't
because it's
give
big
people-
blocks of color
Yeah.
that they don't have to come up with like shading and like anything like that. It works in that particular
I
one.
hate to be that way, but I'm sure the artists that were making Toxic Crusaders weren't banging on all cylinders when they were working on it.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, a lot of those guys ended up working on Batman the Animated Series, I believe.
Oh, well, okay.
So, but it was like first job out of college kind of situation. So, no, they weren't. They got there eventually, but no. Did you hear that at one point Lloyd Kaufman tried to get a Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD cartoon
Sure.
made
Why-
as well?
Why not?
Why not? I think that's actually a really good premise for a guy who has superpowers, but it turns him into a Japanese samurai kabuki man.
In the era of Ninja Turtles, that might have made more sense than Toxic Crusaders, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. Totally agree. Okay, so we have time for maybe one or two quick ones. Let's talk about the Xbox
Yeah, we got to hit the Xbox partner preview.
thing.
This is kind of a big deal for
Yeah.
Xbox.
Yeah, they need something.
Yeah, no kidding. They showed 4 or 5 games. The first one, which was a surprise, was a brand new Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
Like legit 3D one with platinum. They're working with platinum games to make it, so it
okay.
should be pretty good.
Well, it can be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean-
Platinum has kind of dropped a little bit in the last couple of years,
But it's a character action game, and that's
what
like
they
their
do.
thing.
That is
so-
true. That is kind of their thing.
Also, they show, and they also surprise dropped a remake of Ninja Gaiden Black 2,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
like that day,
Wow.
and remade in Unreal Engine. It looks great, and
Okay.
that's a great game, so it should be a good remaster.
Well, right on.
And that's cool to have a game just, hey, here's the new game you can play on Game Pass right now.
Is it just Game Pass, or are they releasing it for other consoles down the road?
I think you can buy it separately. I don't know if it's
Okay.
on other consoles. A lot of this stuff is also going to be on like PlayStation and stuff.
Okay, see that's the thing with the Xbox stuff. I honestly, and this is conspiracy brain popping up, but I honestly believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, Xbox is going to go the way of Sega, where they're going to be a producer company and not a system, because
Yeah.
they're going to move almost solely to PC
And cloud-based
stuff. And yeah, I would say if Xbox might put out one more system, and then after that, I think they might be done.
At that point, you'll be buying a computer.
You're buying a
hook
computer.
up to your TV. It almost already is that.
Yeah.
At that point, they'll just sell you a computer you hook up to your TV, and they won't even be. There will be no pretense of it being
It'll just become
anything else.
it'll become Windows games or whatever.
Yeah.
They'll come up with the Windows X games
'Cause,
that
yeah.
already exists. I don't know.
The Xbox ecosystem. Because
Yeah.
right now they're pushing that like everything's the Xbox because you can play all the games, cloud games on your phone and whatever.
Yeah. So
Which is just diluting the brand. But that's neither here nor
that's
there.
neither here nor there.
We're talking about the games that they showed.
Yeah. So what were some of the other games they showed?
They showed that South of Midnight, which is that Southern Gothic themed third-person action game.
Okay. Yeah. I think I vaguely remember something about that.
They've showed it for I feel like a year or two now, where but they haven't really shown they haven't really explained what the character does, and it turns out she has like textile-based magic abilities. She does weaving and spinning stuff. Like her
Okay.
weapon is 2 big weaving hooks.
Oh, cool. Okay. I kind of like that.
Yeah, and she goes around and like deals with Appalachian monsters legend stuff.
That's an interesting concept. I kind of dig that.
Yeah, her mom gets swept away in a hurricane, and she goes out through the deep south to find her, and runs into all of these mythical creatures and stuff.
That's really interesting.
In a 3D action game, and it has a great look to it too, where it looks like stop motion.
Really?
And they cut down the frames per second so they move, and it looks
kind of
like
herky-jerky a little bit?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It looks really cool. And I went from like being interested to being like very
interested. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I dig it.
And then they showed a turn-based RPG, something, it's very French, and it looked neat, but my brain immediately shut off.
Okay, sure.
And I just zoned out for that entire part, which is
maybe not the best for their brands,
I can't remember what it was even called, which is a shame, and I feel bad.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good on them.
French, it's cool to see a turn-based RPG being made with a big budget nowadays.
Yeah, you don't see that.
They always go for the
action
RPG now. Like even Final Fantasy gave up.
Yeah, and that's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
My favorite one though was Doom Dark Ages.
You mentioned that prior to the show. Yeah.
Which looks extremely rad.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really show anything in the trailer that we hadn't already seen, but they explained like what their goal for the game is and the way that it plays in a way that makes it sound very cool.
So this is the one where it's the Doom series, but in Middle Ages, kind of.
Yeah, they describe it as like the Batman Year One of Doom.
Interesting.
So this is Doomslayer Year One.
Interesting.
That's even what they were internally calling it before they called it Doom Dark Ages.
Oh, that's cool.
But they said the main goal of the Doom 2016 was run and gun.
Sure.
Doom Eternal was jump and shoot.
Okay, I see that.
And this one is stand and fight. So you are more tanky.
Interesting.
And it's more about standing your ground against the demons than it is shooting around. And
so I'm guessing there's more like melee options instead of just running around and shooting stuff.
Yeah, there's 3 different melee options. There's a chain mace.
Okay.
A spike club and an electric gauntlet.
Nice.
You have that shield that has a saw in it.
Okay.
And it has like parry mechanics, almost like Cuphead, where there's like some projectiles you can parry that are a different color.
Yeah. Interesting. I like a good parry mechanic.
Yeah, and you can also throw the shield and it embeds in people and spins and looks super rad.
Sure.
And all the stuff, all the shield stuff is done contextually with one button, which is interesting.
Really? That is interesting. Huh.
But they seem to have a really great like concept for this Doom that almost puts it more in line with the original games, because it showed a lot of on the ground like strafing through projectiles.
Gotcha.
A lot less like air moving around, jumping.
No, that sounds awesome. That actually sounds really good.
And they also showed the giant robot and the dragon. You get to drive a giant robot.
Okay.
And like it plugs into like the Doomslayer's heart. You know that little like round crystally part that he has on his armor in the new design?
Yes.
That previously was just kind of there.
Yeah.
That plugs into the robot.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. No, I dig it. That's really cool.
And there's giant Titan demons that you have to fight with the giant robot, because of course there is.
You can't go wrong with a giant robot.
And there's also a flying cyber dragon that you get to drive around.
Oh, nice.
And they almost made it sound like it was open world, but they backpedaled on that and just says it just has really big levels.
Okay.
Which that's fine.
Hey, that's cool. Not everything has to be open world.
I prefer things not to be, honestly. Like, well, sometimes I'll get in the mood and going around an open world is fun, but I would prefer a more directed
I don't want to be completely railroaded into things, but kind of having this a slight progression kind of situation where it's like, okay, you can kind of run around and do some stuff, but you're heading in this direction. Yeah. One way or another.
Well, like the levels in Mario Odyssey, for example, they weren't open world, but they were big.
But they were big enough that you can do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and there was plenty of exploration to do for little trinkets and stuff.
Yeah, so that's exactly.
And
that's really
I've
cool.
Played a lot of games lately where I realized I really like exploring around big worlds to look for little stars.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was even playing Infinity Nikki, which is like the dress-up platformer game.
Oh, I've heard about it. I've never seen a single thing about it.
It is super platformy and has you going around big worlds looking for little stars.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay, yeah, I dig it.
And it's ostensibly a dress-up game for girls, but it's also super weirdly deep mechanically platform game.
You know what? If it's fun, it as long as it's a good game, anyone can enjoy it. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Cool.
I think that's the whole thing. I think we covered everything on that one.
We just about did, yeah. So, yeah, we have time for one more very quick one. And, I guess we mentioned it at the very beginning of the show, our intro. What's going on with Doctor Strange?
He's apparently not going to show up in the next Avengers movie.
Oh.
Which,
sure.
Whatever. They don't all have to be there. I know it's Avengers, so you'd think they'd all be there, but we don't have to have Endgame every time.
Doctor Strange is not in every single Marvel book.
Yeah.
Just like, well, I was about to say Wolverine. Wolverine's in almost every Marvel book. But they don't all have to be there at the exact same time. It's fine.
He did say Benedict Cumberbatch, not Doctor Strange himself. Mm-hmm. But Benedict Cumberbatch did say he's going to be in the one after that.
Oh,
like a lot, but not Doomsday.
Now, did he say it in his British accent or his British trying to be American accent?
Probably his British accent.
Yeah.
But yeah, Doctor Strange's accent's not great.
Hello, I am Doctor Strange.
And then sometimes he gets a little Jersey.
He does.
In there.
Yeah. Not by accident, not on purpose. Yeah.
My theory is they don't want audiences get confused between Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange.
No, that makes sense. You
can't have more than one doctor in a movie.
It's one doctor and that's it. Yeah. Well, hey, that's why Professor X is a professor, not a doctor. Never got that doctorate.
They won't mention Reed Richards' doctorate.
No, he's just a plucky student.
I think it's funny how Marvel Rivals has made people suddenly very interested in the Fantastic Four.
They made them very interested in the Invisible Woman.
Yeah.
For the first time in the character's entire existence. People are like, hey, guess what? People like the Invisible Woman.
People are into Sue Storm, especially when she wears one specific skin that you can
There
unlock.
are actually a couple that people are pretty into.
They do such a good job with the character designs in Marvel Rivals.
They really do. I mean, a lot of these skins for the current season pass, you can definitely tell, hey, this is made by a Chinese company. Because right now, a lot of the skins are Chinese New Year.
Chinese New Year theme.
And a lot of them are like, okay, yeah, they're putting extra time and effort into these specific skins. But that's fine.
I heard
whatever.
their Chinese New Year mode is a knockoff of an Overwatch mode. When Overwatch used to have Lucio Ball, where it was like soccer and everybody was Lucio.
Yeah.
They have a soccer mode.
Okay.
Which
I'm sure it's done better than Overwatch.
Yeah, they probably.
And people are actually playing it, so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so burnt on Blizzard anymore.
I am too.
I even tried to get into Diablo 4, and it just feels bad, man.
Yeah,
feels bad, man.
Yeah, no. I was never super hot on them, although I never had any problem with them. But with all the extra behind the scenes problems they've had, I'm good.
And even without that, it seems like ever since Activision bought them, they've been not in it for the right reasons.
Well, sure.
Which,
Activision,
I mean, they were always in it to make money, but they
Yeah.
used to also make really good games that respected the player.
Yeah. I'll never forgive them for not finishing that Warhammer point and click.
Warcraft.
Or Warcraft, yeah.
Oh yeah, Warcraft Adventure. You can play it. It got leaked.
Oh, it did.
Yeah,
cool.
You can play it almost all the way through.
Cool.
And it's pretty solid.
And I know Clancy Brown did the voice of the main orc, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Old Mr. Krabs himself.
Yeah, it's weird. It's the orc. Sounds like Mr. Krabs.
It's weird when he walked up to someone and said, "Sponge boy me Bob."
Money. This has been bad SpongeBob impressions.
No, this is Patrick.
I'm Squidward.
Oh, God. Okay, we got to wrap this show up. We're certain. Yeah, we're running.
Squidward's catchphrase, I'm Squidward.
Hello, I'm Squidward. Yes. All right, so hey, you've been listening to Nerd Overload. Thank you very much for tuning in. You can find us each and every day over at nerdoverload.com, as well as our social media links, links.nerdoverload.com. You can find all that stuff there.
You can send us an email, staff@nerdoverload.com, or give us a call on the Nerd Overload hotline and leave us a voicemail. The number for that's 412-345-1413. Leave us a message and we'll play it on the show.
I have been monitoring, and so far I've only gotten spam calls.
Oh, we should have played a spam call.
You don't want to play this spam call.
Oh, no.
That we got. Yeah, no, it's good. No, we're good. You can find all of our back episodes on various podcast apps, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. I know I'm promised that something cool was happening on YouTube this week. We're going to wait for Josh to get back.
Yeah.
Then we're going to have something cool happen on the YouTube channel. But just keep checking it out. But go subscribe to it, bookmark it. Hey.
Yeah, be ready. Be the first to see it.
Yeah, be the first. You can comment first when it happens. I don't know. Is that what people do?
They used to.
They used to. Well, there you go.
Let's bring it back.
Let's bring it back. Hey, you know what? We're all about nostalgia here. We'll bring it back. Finally, I'd like to thank Parker for helping us find some of our news articles for the week, and David Pencil for our intro and outro. So again, thank you all for tuning in, and we will be back next week.
I'm Squidward. I couldn't even do it with a straight face.